Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours for June 21st, 2022. And I'm on vacation at this point and pre-recorded this show before leaving. Now, just to be clear, this is like a TV show that has a rerun to it. So the videos and the Q&A I did maybe 8-9 months ago. The intro was fresh. There's no chat available today. I return on a flight Wednesday. I'm visiting my son for Father's Day and a few days after that because I haven't seen him in a while. I thought it was a perfect time to go visit. And I'll answer, I think, 10 questions or so in the course of this show. Again, it was one of my early career coach office hours. I think I used to call it an Ask Me Anything show, no BS style. So whatever, I'll just simply say I've got some Q&A for you. If you've got questions, email them to me actually just message me through LinkedIn. That's always the best way. My page is linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Message me your questions. I'd be happy to answer them next Friday or on Friday. And I'll also say, visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us, where I've got a ton in the blog that you can watch, listen to, or read that'll help you. Plus, you can schedule time for a free discovery call or schedule time for coaching. Find out about my courses that you can rent or buy, books and guides. There's just a lot there that'll help you. And if we're not connected on LinkedIn, send a connection request to linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter, because your network is going to grow a lot larger as a result of being connected to me. And just to remind you, people hire me for no BS career advice around job search, hiring more effectively, management leadership, and dealing with workplace issues. And now, let's get going. Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. And if you look in the upper right, you can see I'm experimenting with StreamYard. I'm using the free version. You know, it's going to have that little moniker up there. And very simply, I'm trying to find a way to make this easier for myself in distributing to multiple locations. So the first product I'm going to try is StreamYard. It's the free version. That's the way it goes. But I've got an Ask Me Anything today where I'm dealing with a number of questions I've been backlogged and responding to. To be clear, I no longer take questions directly anymore. If you do have a question for me, go to wisio.com, wisio.com/the Big Game Hunter. And what you can do is ask me a question through the site. By doing that, you'll get a response back from me probably no later than next day. It'll be a video in 3 to 5 minutes in length that will be personalized for you, not these general answers, and there won't be the kind of delays that I've had to deal with all these questions that I've been backlogged with. So again, that's wisio.com/the Big Game Hunter. Now, I believe it's 8 questions, 8 questions today. Question number 1, how long after a reference check should I contact my potential employer? I'd wait a day or two. Now, ideally, what you do is when they say we'd like to check references and you provide them with the names and contact information, you say to them, about how long does it usually take for the references to be completed? They'll say something along the lines of, that depends on how responsive your references are. Obviously, you let your references know that they're going to be contacted by someone representing the firm that's made you the offer or that's making you the offer. And thus, they'll be alert to the contact, they'll respond quickly, and that'll move things along, I should say. So in finding out the answer at that point, you know when you should follow up. Now, let's assume that you haven't done that. 2 days, day after the day you provide the references, just to say, hi, just want to make sure that you're not having any difficulty reaching my references. If so, let me know who you're having trouble with, and I'll push them along. See, what that allows you to do is to check in a graceful way and not seem like the nagging, are they done yet? Are they done yet? So that's how to handle that. Number two, what should I do if I declined an interview with a company, but now I'm thinking I should have accepted? Should I wait until I have new skills added to my resume, or should I just send an application and see what happens? Made a mistake. Absolutely right. You made a mistake. And what you need to do is to call up the person who contacted you, respond to the email that was sent to you and say, I realize I made a mistake. I should have taken the interview. And, I'll just simply say, if the position's still open, I'd like to be reconsidered for it. They'll say, why did you say no the first time? And why are you saying yes now? And you better have a good answer. It better not be something like, I'm not getting any interviews, and thus I decided I should do yours. It has to be a mature answer. So you can, one option is to say, it seemed like I was about to get an offer, but a position was put on hold. I didn't want to start a process with you only to pull back on it because of the other offer. So that becomes a mature way of responding. Not ideal situation you put yourself into, but that's a good way to handle it. Next question. What should one do if the hiring manager appears incredulous about one's projects and experience in an interview? Ask them about it. Really, that's simple. Ask them about it. The expression on your face kind of looks like you don't believe I've done this kind of stuff. Am I reading your face correctly? And they'll say, well, yeah. Or, no. I was just distracted for a moment. But you can't ignore signals like that. Signals like that are the kiss of death for most interviewers. And thus, by putting it on the table, by being overt with it, you're forcing them to say, going, well, I've done this. I did this. So just recognize that's the right behavior to have. Okay. Can I ask the recruiter about a startup company's stability before I sign an offer? Absolutely. And you should have been doing this all the way through. You should be doing research on the firm independently of what the recruiter, whether it's their recruiter or the search firm recruiter, says to you. Give me a sense of your financials. Like, how many people do you have? What's your burn rate? What was the last time you took in capital? What, where are you in the process of fundraising? What's going on? What this does is it will help you see where they are in their capitalization. Knowing how much they have in the bank, knowing what their burn rate is, just gives you an idea of how long they have before they might have to raise money again or shut their doors. So yes, by all means, you should ask questions like that. What is the first and most important thing an interviewer notices about an interviewee? To me, those are two separate things. The first thing they notice is, well, if it's a phone interview, it's your voice. And then the second thing are the answers to your questions. If it's a video or in-person interview, it's of course your appearance. What do you look like? How are you dressed? Is your hair out of whack? There are cosmetic things they may notice first. But the answer to this question really depends on the mode of interviewing. And thus, it really, there's too much variation on this. Remember, if they are escorted to your office or to a conference room to meet you, you may see their walk and whether they walk with confidence. Now, the most important thing that they notice about you is your answers to the questions. But the things that are superficial normally precede that in most interviews. The next question is, do hiring managers frown upon someone who responds with, no, but I can learn when asked about a particular skill set? The answer is not necessarily. Now, I think that's an expected response, so there's nothing unique about it. It's also the response a less experienced person might give. So in dealing with a less experienced person, they'll expect you to sound like the eager individual. I can learn. Of course you can learn. but they may want someone who has done, not who can learn. And also remember that the skill that they're asking you about may be relatively insignificant in their thought process. So just remember, it's important for you to know what they're looking for on the way into the interview, to get yourself adequately prepared. On that subject, I want to remind you there are two dirty words in interview. First dirty word is only, as in I've only done this or I've only done that. Second dirty word, light, as in I have light experience with this or that. And I've recently added a third one, which is just. I've just done this or that. Tell them what you know and what you've done, period. Seventh question, what is a good way to truthfully doctor your resume to catch an employer's attention? Now, this is telling me you're applying for a job rather than networking your way over to a hiring manager so that in this way you can get answers, you can be walked in the door. So the idea is to truthfully doctor your resume. The problem word is doctor, because usually that translates into lie. You don't want to ever be lying. What you want to be doing is to edit it, to call attention to how your background fits the role. Now, assuming you're applying for a job, you may be uploading your resume to an applicant tracking system. Thus, you can make page one of your resume the cover letter. And in the cover letter, somewhere in there, let me give you a sense of what to do. I'm uploading my resume to you for the position of such and such that I saw advertised on fill in the blank. Let me walk you through how my background fits this role. And on the flush left, you put the skill that's being sought. Flush right, how long and how differently you've used it. Then underneath that section, by the way, if you have not used one of those skills, you just omit it. Go to the ones that you have. And underneath the skills in the job description, there will be, I want you to list the functionality that you'd be performing in the job that comes from the job description. You put that flush left and flush right, how long and how recently you've performed it. What you're doing with page one then is stacking the resume with keywords. And thus, the applicant tracking system will think that this is what your background is, and thus it will enhance the probability that you're going to be pursued by them for an interview. Last question for today. Is it better to apply for a job directly on the company's website or to apply on a career site like Monster or Indeed, I'll add, or LinkedIn? Most of these third-party systems are connected with the applicant tracking system. Now, the question comes down to whether that individual employer has a preference in the morning or during the day to going to their ATS or going to the job board itself to see who's responded. I personally think most of them go to their own systems because those are open when they walk in the door. It requires no effort. So to me, the correct answer for most people, with some exception, is going to be their applicant tracking system. There's also less likelihood of a problem, because problems do come up, obviously, from time to time, in the handshake between the job board and their system. So just stick with their system if you have a choice. Now, the other thing to remember is sometimes the job on the job board may not be on the applicant tracking system. Now, it's less likely these days, but it can happen because firms may have a lot of positions open and only a certain number of job slots available. So it may also be on their own site and not on the job board. So I'll just simply say it ultimately translates into it depends. Depends on their behavior. It depends on their workflow, things along those lines. I'm Jeff Altman. I hope you found this helpful. My website is thebiggamehunter.us. Go to the site and go exploring. There's a lot there to help you, and I'd love to be of service to you. As I mentioned earlier, if you have a question for me, go to wizio.com/thebiggamehunter. That's WISIO.com/thebiggamehunter. I'd love to help you answer your questions. This way you don't have to go and go through your search in the dark. And I'm going to mention, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, at my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, I've got thousands of posts there that can help you, and you can schedule time for a free discovery call or schedule time for coaching. I can definitely help. Last point I want to make, subscribe to my channel on YouTube by clicking the small icon in the lower right or the picture of me in the upper left. You'll get notified when I release something new. And you can watch me on TV. On an Apple TV, on Apple TV, Roku, Sony, Samsung. You can watch me on either Zingo.tv or BingeNetworks.tv. And on a Fire TV or a Fire Stick, download the Job Search TV app. Hope you have a great day and be great.